Hey guys, and welcome to A Policeman's Life. On this video, I'm going to talk about police officers and the use of marijuana. The reason I'm doing this topic is as of tomorrow, October 17th, in Canada, where I live, the use of marijuana will be legalized. So just as a disclaimer off the top of this video, I myself have never used marijuana when I was younger, had no desire to, and now that it's legalized, I still have no desire to use it. So really this topic that I'm going to talk about doesn't really affect me. I just want to lay out some stuff there. So what I'm going to look at today is different departments across the country, their policies related to marijuana use among officers. So I hope you enjoy. So for this video, I'm going to try to use some Bristol board, some markers, just to demonstrate all the stuff around legalization of marijuana and police use. So let's give this a go. We're talking about cops plus weed. So next we have weed will become legal October 17th in Canada. That's Canada, not the United States if you're watching that, so don't go out there and smoke some and get yourself caught. Next thing that is important is Bill C-45 is what is allowing recreational use of marijuana to be legalized in Canada. And the final thing, sorry about that weed plant, but it's saying that weed equals money. The reason that Justin Trudeau decided to legalize marijuana was one, it was one of his running promises and helped him get elected, and he sees it as a way to help get this country out of a debt. It seems you're working in Colorado, maybe it'll work here. On to the next slide. So now for this section, we're going to talk about, now what happens with police officers getting high? How will that affect their job? What departments will allow it, which won't, and what are the reasons behind it? So let's have a look at that.
I'll tell you what, just to get in the mind of the criminal, I'm going to do this one time.
Put it, yeah. So, when police departments are making their decision about if they allow officers to smoke marijuana or not, here are some of the words that we are seeing. 1. Fit for duty. So, a department like Vancouver out west says it's up to the officers to show up to work fit for duty. If they want to use marijuana on their days off, yep, they can, but just show up fit for duty, ready to go. Same with alcohol. Then other ones are using the 28 days. So I'll talk about that a little later, but 28 days, you can't smoke marijuana 28 days before your shift. Basically saying you cannot smoke marijuana, which leads into the next one, which is zero tolerance. So some departments like Calgary, a large department out west, says zero tolerance, police officers cannot smoke marijuana at all. So there's what the departments are saying. What do you think? So are these rules justified? Do you feel this is right? Marijuana is being legalized. Do you think it's all right for a department like Calgary out west to say zero tolerance? Officers can not smoke marijuana on their days off. What are your thoughts? Leave in comments below. So now I'm going to get into why they're doing this. So the Center for Medical Marijuana Use has given some research and insight into how marijuana stays in your system. So, if you're just a casual user, so use it this month, maybe once next month, maybe a couple other months, what they're saying is that the marijuana will be out of your system within days. So out within days. Now, when the THC is psychoactive, that's done within hours. But they're saying that out of your whole system, if you take a urine test, it'll be gone in days. Now, if you're a more frequent user, So you use marijuana all the time, well, that opens up a bigger window. So now the marijuana is going to get into your, the THC is going to get into your fat, it's going to be stored there, and it's going to stay quite a bit longer if you're a frequent user. So if you look into the Center for Substance Abuse, what do they say? They say that cannabis, or THC, is detectable for a month. So it kind of goes back to the last study where the THC gets into your fat and is slowly released over a month period of time. Within maybe 28 days, it is completely gone from your system. But there's no actual impairment. So that's a key thing. So even though it's there for 28 days, it's not actively impairing you. Hence why you're allowed to drive a vehicle, operate machinery, and stuff like that. So that's the Center for Substance Abuse. They're saying it's in your system for 28 days and it's completely gone, but there's no actual impairment for that period of time. So let's see if we can find some other studies that are going to help us out to see maybe what the ban should be before a police officer attends work wearing a sidearm. So there was a study done that in 1991 that got pilots high. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on that say pilots are high quite a bit, but this study, they were actually given marijuana. They were flying a flight simulator before the marijuana. They were given marijuana, and then they were tested in times after getting high. And what were the times? So these pilots were given a joint. They smoked it. They got high. They were tested 15 minutes after getting high, and they were found to be impaired. Check mark. Then they were tested 4 hours later, and again they were found to have their flying impaired. Now I can't remember if I mentioned it. This is on a flight simulator, not a real plane, okay? So then we have 8 hours. Yes, they were found to be impaired. So now we jump up to the crucial one here. Actually, I'm going to jump past that one and go to 48 hours. At 48 hours, the pilots show no signs of being impaired based on their controlling of the flight simulator. They did not report feeling high as well. So let's go back to 24 hours. So at 24 hours, the pilots didn't report feeling high, and there was very, very, very minimal evidence to support that they were impaired or it affected their flying. So this kind of seemed to be the sweet spot for where where pilots were safe, relatively safe to fly after being high 24 hours before. So I know that has been mentioned a lot in some studies related to police agencies. So why the 28 days? Not sure. So the 28-day one, I think, is what I understand, is, based on those studies we saw before, is where the THC is completely gone from your system. Even though it's not active, it's not causing you to be impaired, it's gone from your system. So maybe police departments are saying, well, let's say this officer is involved in a fatal shooting, he does a drug test, a urine test, and it shows traces of THC, well then somebody will argue that he was impaired. So I think that's maybe what they're looking at, so that they just want that completely gone from your system. There's going to be no debate about that. Now the thing is about drug impairment and having THC in your system, yes, it shows up, but just by having a urine sample and showing that there's cannabis or THC in your system, it doesn't say that you're impaired by it. Whereas alcohol, if you have 80 milligrams percent, we know you're impaired. But if you have THC in your urine 28 days later, we actually have to do other tests, like the ones you see on cops and stuff like that, where they're walking the line, they're trying to touch their nose, maybe they're counting their fingers, they're doing the high step. all those different ones, and that's to show that they're impaired. So you need the combination of the two to show impairment. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just to sum it up, October 17th, so tomorrow, marijuana is legalized in Canada only here, right across the province. Each province is setting the regulations of can it be sold publicly or privately. Here where I live, the government's going to sell it. They're going to get all the tax money. They're going to run their stores. Other provinces, other private businesses are allowed to sell it, but that's up to the provinces. There's limits set on how much you can have each person, obviously age, and stuff like that. So hopefully that sums it all up for you. Basically, marijuana is legalized tomorrow. Depending on the police department, some officers will be allowed to smoke weed, others will not. This definitely will go and be challenged, I'm sure, in court, kind of like a human rights type of thing. It's legal, why can't they use it? It'll have to be justified with studies and all that good stuff. So anyway, leave a comment below. What do you think? Should officers be able to smoke marijuana on their days off, just like they can drink alcohol, or not? Please like, subscribe to this video, and we'll see you on the next one.